The news is here. According to our Adrian Wojnarowski, Kevin Durant's manager, Rich Kleiman, has told him that Kevin Durant has requested a trade.
NBA offseason in full swing. Spurs traded guard Dejounte Murray to Atlanta last night for 3 first-round picks. And Danilo Gallinari reportedly sending Rudy Gobert to the Minnesota Timberwolves for a boatload, getting back 4 first-round picks for the 3-time Defensive Player of the Year.
I'm going to be brutally honest, I think NBA free agency this year has made absolutely no sense, but not necessarily in a bad way. We've seen a lot of talented players be moved with guys like Dejounte Murray and Rudy Gobert, who I showed in the intro. We had guys who I would say got overpaid like Jalen Brunson, and currently as this video is being recorded, we still have the whole Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving situation because none of them have been traded yet. We are approaching about 2 weeks of NBA free agency, and yet we haven't heard much about the Kevin Durant situation other than what we've already known for like the past 5 days. And no, this is not just a whole nother video about Kevin Durant while briefly mentioning other free agency things, because I've made a lot of videos talking about Kevin Durant when I'm not doing shorts. And I can justify it because this is probably the most popular free agency story we've had in the last 3 to 4 years. And there really hasn't been that many updates. The only one I've seen has been in the past couple days, but I've probably already made a TikTok/short about it. For future reference, I'm just gonna call them TikToks because I'm uploading these shorts to TikTok as well, and they're literally just the same thing, so we'll just call it that to make it easier. Regardless of all that, it seems like Kevin Durant is kind of holding up free agency right now, which doesn't surprise me as he's a superstar player and a lot of people are waiting to see what he does. I mean, I will say I think it's doing the same thing to the whole Kyrie Irving trade as well, so it just seems whichever one gets traded first, there'll probably be a whole snowball effect. Depending when this video does come out, I might make one more update video before I release this, or I'll make one after. It just depends on whatever happens today. Now, like I said earlier, this isn't a Kevin Durant video, and I want to talk about so many trades in this video because I'm very confused on why a lot of these happened. Let's start with Dejounte Murray, who got traded from the Spurs to the Atlanta Hawks for some picks and Danilo Gallinari, which I actually thought the Spurs won that trade. And to be quite honest, I think Atlanta lost this trade in some way because Atlanta having Trae Young already just doesn't make sense with Dejounte Murray's playing style. I've said this before, but you can't just throw 2 superstars or all-stars, whatever you want to call them, together and expect them to work. Did we not just see the Lakers last season and how that turned out? Now, I'm not saying Atlanta is going to be like the Lakers last season for so many reasons, but the point is that you can't just throw 2 point guards like this together who have the same style and expect it to work. Now, I could be proven wrong. Maybe Dejounte or Trae will kind of switch up their style and their styles will eventually end up working with each other, or maybe they can play the way they will and it'll still work in the end. If Dejounte can play that 2 role well and he could be a scorer while Trae Young can also score but he'd be a playmaker at the same time, I don't see anything wrong with this trade. I think Atlanta would have been better if they maybe got some wing depth players, and they're also looking to shop John Collins, so maybe try to find a replacement for him. They're also reportedly still trying to get Deandre Ayton, so they might get rid of Clint Capella or something. I'm not entirely sure. I hate that they had to get rid of Danilo Gallinari. I think that was a really good player for Atlanta. Also, they did trade Kevin Huerter to I think the Sacramento Kings. So honestly, I just don't think they've really had the best free agency. However, like I mentioned earlier, if Dejounte ends up working out, then they'll be just fine. Now, San Antonio did take the W because even though they lost Gallinari because I think they bought him out or something like that, they did get a bunch of picks, plus Dejounte Murray just wasn't going to work for them and they want him to succeed, which I love that they did. Hopefully the Spurs can turn something with those picks because other than that, they just lost an all-star for no reason other than wanting to see him do well. Now, I'm sorry, but we have to talk about Rudy Gobert because this was one of the dumbest trades I've ever seen. From one perspective, it's like the Atlanta trade. Even though I could kind of see Dejounte and Trae working out, it is very much possible. However, with Rudy Gobert and Cat, not so much. What I think is so interesting about these trades lately is I've seen the team that loses the star player is gaining more than the team that's gaining the star player. The Minnesota Timberwolves gave up 5 first-round picks for Rudy Gobert. On top of that, giving up 4 bench depth players. Really, the only one I was concerned about was Malik Beasley and I guess Patrick Beverley. Other than that, I'm fine with the bench players they gave up, but Jesus Christ, 5 first-round picks. And look, if this was for like Kevin Durant or even Dejounte Murray or maybe just a small forward in general, I could completely understand this. But for Rudy Gobert, and this isn't no disrespect to Rudy Gobert, I'm not even saying he's a bad center. Yeah, sometimes he's an offensive liability, but I've talked about that before in a video that you've probably seen. But it's the fact that they already had Karl Anthony Towns, who's a really good center, and it's not like they're trading him because he got an extension. So essentially, they're going to run a lineup where it's like D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards, whoever they run at small forward, and Karl Anthony Towns running the 4 and Gobert at the 5. I have no clue whatsoever why they decided to do this. It makes no sense to me. Yeah, they have the best front court in the NBA. I mean, besides not knowing who the small forward is. And as far as a big man duo, that's actually not that bad. In fact, I think it's safe to say they're easily the best big man duo in the NBA, but the problem is, how the hell is this going to translate in game? I can't find the clip, but I remember Coach Evans from the He's on Fire podcast, which I've been going on a lot recently, said all you got to do is run a 5-out offense, and they're absolutely right. You run a 5-out offense, how the hell are those big men going to be able to get out, especially a guy like Rudy Gobert? He's not going to guard from 3, and I don't think Cat is either. I don't know if they have more planned, because if they don't, then this is going to be a very interesting season. But like I said, who knows? Maybe this will work. Now, I talked about this a while ago on a New York Knicks TikTok I made, where I said something along the lines of like, they've had the worst offseason ever. And when I talked about Jalen Brunson, I got flamed by people in the comment section because, oh, he's really good and you don't know his value and you don't know what you're talking about. Look, I think Jalen Brunson is a talented player. I think he's a really good guard that could probably start on more than 20 teams in the NBA and be a starter. However, when he was playing his best basketball, it was versus the Utah Jazz, and statistically in the playoffs, people play their best basketball versus the Jazz. I mean, we know Joke had people thinking Terrence Mann was the next replacement of Kawhi Leonard when they were playing the Jazz. And Jalen Brunson all of a sudden looked like a max contract player when he was playing the Jazz, which I think we can admit. And yes, in the Phoenix series, he did well at times, but this guy isn't worth $30 million a year. Maybe 15 to 20, I can understand that, but 30 is an overpay, especially for the Knicks. I mean, they're paying $120 million for playoff Jalen Brunson when playoff Jalen Brunson won't be a thing in New York because they're not going to make the playoffs. He could develop as a player in the future and possibly be worth that $30 million, but for now, he's not that. You're paying him for his potential, not his right now skill. When it comes to trades and signings, really, I don't think there's really anything else to talk about. Obviously, I'm waiting for Kevin Durant and Kyrie because that'll be a separate video in itself. I cannot forget to talk about this in this video because I was about to, but the extensions these players got, oh my god, was that a lot of money. I mean, we saw Bradley Beal get an extension, Zach LaVine, John Morant, Nikola Jokic. So many players got a lot of money. Harden turned down a $47 million extension to sign for $32 million, so there's an extra 15 to possibly put on a free agent. And as far as that, there's not really much that has happened in free agency other than these things that I've talked about in the video. Like I've said for the millionth time, I'm waiting for KD and Kyrie, which is kind of the reason why I pushed this back. Alright, so actually, as I'm making this video, I'm currently editing it, and I just got a report that says Brian Windhorst just confirmed that Deandre Ayton is more than likely signing to the Pacers. The deal is very close. I've said this before, but Deandre Ayton going to the Pacers does not affect Kevin Durant to the Suns. For anyone wondering about that, it will make it a little bit more difficult, but not by much. I think Ayton will be a pretty good fit on the Pacers, depending if they do move Miles Turner. Now, I'm not sure if he's going to do an offer sheet or if it's going to be a sign-in trade. If it is a sign-in trade, if we get a guy like maybe Buddy Hield and Miles Turner, we're probably going to flip him. Regardless, I think free agency is going to be interesting once KD and Kyrie get traded, because it seems like there's a bunch of free agents right now kind of waiting to see what happens. And let's say Phoenix gets Kevin Durant, I think a bunch of veterans are going to try to sign with Phoenix, maybe a guy like Carmelo Anthony or other guys. And the thing is that the offseason is far from over. We're in the NBA Summer League right now, and we're pushing the season in only a couple months. If you guys did like the video, there's a video on the screen right now that I think you will personally enjoy. As far as that goes, I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care, y'all.